I don't deny that I'm afraid of something. I don't pretend to have it all figured out. I first own it, that I'm scared. I'm upset. There's a principle in your linguistic program that talks about name it to tell it. It's simply the fact that until you're able to name something, identify it, and accept it, your mind does not come to a place where you now have superiority to bypass it. So it's important that you first own it. I am afraid. This is not the type of faith confession. I'm scared. Or I'm scared about these. I don't know the outcomes, but 1, 2, 3, 4 are the things I'm scared. When I do that, I also ask myself, I think, have it always? You see, because life is nothing vague. We have seen patterns, footprints, blueprints all around. People have walked this fence, go around. They have done remarkable things, right? It was the late Albert Shaw that said, right, the only precise thing we should listen to is somebody who has done twice what you're getting with once. Oh my! You see, those questions you're asking are giving us an opportunity to chronicle our life. Some people don't really think like good to us. They don't think about what gives me the kind of result that we have. So with that question you just asked, you're forcing not just me, but everybody who will listen to this to check what patterns that they have developed over the years. Because for some people, they'll be like, I just wing it, I just get to do it. No, but there are things you have consistently done. You may not have documented them, but they are the patterns, the habits, the rituals you're not committed to. And so one day in the pitch, I said to myself, this has got to stop. How long will I keep leaving football, right? Just to come and cry. And these guys are having a field day. So I went out of the field, I wiped my eyes, and I came back and I said, I'm not going to cry. No matter the taunts, the bully, the conversation that those guys would say to me about my background, I won't let it define me any longer. Wow. If I throw back my mind into that question you asked, what was that defining moment? I think that defining moment was when I was like 8 to 9 years old. I can't remember precisely. And that incident happened on the football field pitch. I was playing football with my friends. And every time I played football with my friends, there was a part of my past, even as I'm 9 years old, that my friends always mocked me for. Wow. And they mocked me to the extent that one day on the field, I would always cry each time that they share or they say something about me. And it was about my father.
Get ready to meet a transformational leader in people and organizational development. Coach Bobby Jeochim. Widely respected in both corporate and faith-based circles, he is a fellow of the prestigious National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, where he's fondly known as the Godfather. As the CEO of Tivuna Limited, Coach Bobby Jeochim leads with vision and impact, delivering innovative training and coaching solutions to empower individuals and organizations alike. Beyond the boardroom, he serves with equal passion in ministry as an associate pastor at the New Covenant Church, George Center. He is a man of depth, influence, and purpose. Welcome, Coach Bobby Jeochim, to the Mind Mastery Podcast with the Mind Master, Osas-Daniel.
Be whoever you want to be.
Yes, welcome the Godfather, Coach Bobby Jeochim, to our Mind Mastery Podcast. Yeah, this is a podcast where we dive deep into mindsets behind success, wealth, and transformation. And it has to do with us really living a balanced and fulfilled life in our faith, in our family life, in our finances, in our fitness, and in our friendship. So knowing the kind of work that you have been into, the successes you have achieved, training people, consulting for various organizations, and also personal projects. We want you to really share your story with us on this podcast. So can you share with us a defining moment when your mindset completely shifted and how that changed your life and your career?
Amazing. So I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to share my story on this podcast today. And wherever you are tuned in from, you are at the right place at the right time. And I can bet that the next moment of what we will share together with Coach Osas will be life-defining for you. So that question takes me into a kind of a recap and a throwback into my time. And just to mention that you've done so well, Coach Osas, with this mindset conversation. And I know that over the years you have pioneered this, and I like what you're now doing, trajectorying into a conversation and making it a podcast with people who are success-like and are humble to the air. And if I throw back my mind into that question you asked, what was that defining moment? I think that defining moment was when I was like 8 to 9 years old. I can't remember precisely. And that incident happened on the football field pitch. I was playing football with my friends. And every time I played football with my friends, there was a part of my past, even as I'm 9 years old, that my friends always mocked me for. Wow. And they mocked me to the extent that one day on the field, I would always cry each time that they share or they say something about me. And it was about my father being absent. And so every time when we're playing football, they just go ahead, are you that your dad is not around? And for some strange reasons, I would cry. I would leave the football field. I'll not play the football any longer. So one day in the pitch, I said to myself, this has got to stop. How long will I keep leaving football? Right? Just to come and cry. And those guys are having a field day. So I went out of the field, I wiped my eyes, and I came back and I said, I'm not going to cry. No matter the taunts, the bully, the conversation that those guys would say to me about my background, I won't let it define me any longer. Wow, that's where it stops. That conversation about my father, That's the last day I would ever cry that I don't have a father like they do. That incident was the moment when my mindset shifted. I can tell that led me into academic success. I can tell that led me into being resilient until today. People that know me know that if I have signed up for a course or if I'm committed to a project, I am resilient to it till the end. Right? You will be the one probably tired of my commitment. But that 9-year-old incident was my defining moment. I know people are waiting for, the moment, but that was when it started for me. And I've seen it cascade into more and more opportunities.
This is wonderful. And to know that getting to a point where you no longer allow your circumstances and the things you don't have to define you became the wow moment, the light bulb moment for you. And that has influenced virtually your life going forward. Now, I want to also come to the point where we understand that mindset, as it were, is not a gift. It is not something that you pray for someone, you lay your hands on them, and then they just get their mindset. It's not by impartation. Remember, people who have a certain mindset, they actually have a corresponding habit that goes with it. So for me, like they will always say that faith without works is death. For me, mindset without habits is death. So would you like to share with us what are your 3 most, your daily rituals or habits that you do on a daily basis that has actually fueled your personal and financial goal?
Oh, I love that question. Because you see, these questions you're asking are giving us an opportunity to chronicle our life. Some people don't really think like good to us. They don't think about what gives me the kind of results that we have. So with that question you just asked, you're forcing not just me, but everybody who will listen to this to check what patterns that they have developed over the years. Because for some people, they'll be like, I just wing it, I just get to do it. No, but there are things you have consistently done. You may not have documented them, but they are the patterns, the habits, the rituals you are not committed to. And as a person of faith, without trying to sound very spooky and spiritual, the truth remains that the first thing I do is that I do not play with my quiet time. I don't. You see, people confuse quiet time as just an opportunity for you to just drop it at God's feet. But how about you also hearing from God? So it becomes a two-way connection. You talk, yet you meditate. So in that moment of meditation, there is calibration. There is awareness. There is recognition of what you ought to do. Your attention is drawn to the things that you are ignoring or the things you are considering difficult or you are even dismissing. And you are forced from that quiet time to draw up a plan. That's the next thing I hear. So I have a daily plan. I wish I had come here with my 2008 notes. You would see in 2008 all the things I wrote day by day for throughout the year. You would see 2008, 9, 10. My notes are there. Everything I hit every day that I committed to do. If I was going to read 3 chapters of a book, it was written there. Read 3 chapters of this book today. Do this. Pray for 30 minutes or pray for 1 hour. Read the book of Acts. Go here. Come here. Send this. As that detailed.
Yeah.
So I go ahead to make plans completely. That's the second thing that I. Number 3 is the fact that I recognize beyond my quiet time and my planning that I am dependent on people, and people are equally dependent on me. In project management, you must define your stakeholders and define your dependencies. And so I define what are my dependencies. Who do I need to help me accelerate my progress to be? If I need to call for Tusas that, hey, we're meeting up to be, I do that call right away and I program it into 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I say, we plan to meet today. This is very important to you. So if Coach Tusas is not going to be available, then I'll now say, okay, what's the next book? So I quiet time, then I plan, then I find those who are my dependents. Those 3 are my dormant pains.
No wonder if I'm unable to get you early hours of the day, it is almost going to be impossible getting you through that.
Absolutely, you know that ritual already.
Is it like I've done a video on the daily ritual, and I call it the 4/4 daily ritual. And how I define it is the fact that I divided me as a person, I divided my life into 3 aspects. The first is my spirit man, that I need to connect with my spirit. And that can come in the form of prayers. Now, the prayer is not like you said, dumping it at the feet of God. No, it is connection, because it is the human, experience that gives you that leverage of living in the dual dimension where you are on earth physically. You also have a spirit that communicates in this, the spiritual realm. So that's the first thing that I do. In prayers, I just try to connect, reminding myself that you are not on this earth alone. You have a source. Now, the second thing I do is I exercise, reminding my body that you're on this earth to do a work. So get set, get prepared. So the next thing I do is to journal. And in my journaling, it is me telling myself, okay, remind myself of the goals that I have, meditate on those goals. And the last thing I do is to read. And my reading basically is to recalibrate and update my mental program. So these are the 4/4 daily rituals. So for every successful person out there, they have a daily rituals that they always observe. Now, I want to ask, because I have seen that rich people and poor people face similar circumstances, similar situations. Why some are lamenting that, oh, the economy is bad, this is that. There are other people who are catching out. And the situations that successful people face is the same situations that unsuccessful people face. Those who succeed, they faced it headlong and they got victory at the end. Those who don't succeed felt, oh, Kai, I can't do that. Now, I want to ask, how do you overcome fear? How do you overcome self-doubt and resistance, especially when the stakes are high? Because I know that you had done programs that people will ask, how did you do this? I remember one you hosted in Miago Restroom last year, and I was a participant. Who were wondering, you do this in the city of Jos? Now, for such projects, for such programs, the constructing a scarcity mentality that you always do here in here out, and the population that come in, I'll be wondering, how do you face the fear of, oh, are you even sure that people will come for this program? How are you sure that they will come? How do you face those fears?
Oh my God, that's a fantastic question, Coach Osas. You see, because fear is part of our daily life. Every one of us experience fear at different levels completely. Even you watching right now, there's a fear you have entertained and embraced, and you just feel like this is accommodating for you, and this becomes your safe space, your safe goals, and you don't want to stretch further. You know, I have discovered carefully that fear is there. So the first thing I do is to own it. I don't deny that I'm afraid of something. I don't pretend to have it all figured out. I first own it, that I'm scared. I'm upset. You know, there's a principle in the linguistic program that talks about name it to tell it. It's simply the fact that until you're able to name something, identify it, and accept it, your mind does not come to the place where you now have superiority over others. So it's important that you first own it. I am afraid. This is not the time for faith confession. I'm scared. I'm scared about these. I don't know the outcomes, but 1, 2, 3, 4 are the things I'm scared. When I do that, I also ask myself, I don't think, oh, have it all experienced? You see, because life is not a vacuum. We have seen patterns, footprints, blueprints all around. People have walked this way. Go around, they have done remarkable things. Right? It was the late Big Shot that said, right, the only criticism we should listen to is somebody who has done twice what you're dating with once. Oh my. He's stuck. You see, that's the only criticism we should entertain. Somebody who has done twice what you are getting to do one. Yeah, that's the person that if he's criticizing you, that's it. He has a right. And that's to say that many times the fear that we entertain, they're external. The doubt we entertain, we fixate on what we say. We can take ourselves in such a way that if I fail in this project, people will mock me. You've not even failed, you've not even attempted. But the opinion of people have become superior. That's the limiting. So how do I overcome it? I recognize that this is it. I own it. Number 2, I come to ask myself, who has done it? Convict. Who has done it? And number 3, I tell myself, even if nobody has done it, the worst that happened, they'll hear from it. That's it. So I date. And every time I have done that, what my mentor said to me has come true. He said, when you're about to do something is significant, there are 3 phases that you may face. Number 1, you will face the impossible phase, where it seems that this thing cannot be done. In fact, the more you are trying, the more it looks like nothing is possible. Wow. When you say yes to the impossible phase, you move to the next phase, which is a difficult phase. That difficult phase is like a trying. All hell has been let loose. The odds are against you. It says, but the moment you put significant phase, that'll be to the third phase, which is done. But I be like possible, difficult, I done. So when you start a project, possible, and you say yes, it sounds difficult, but in the process, you will come to the place of done. That's how it works.
That is I really don't. You see, sometimes when we don't do things, we really do not know the results that those things can put.
Exactly.
Like this conversation you're having now, I never would have known that such information, such value, such high level, thoughts that you never would share on a normal day.
Absolutely.
We had conversations, we had trainings where we have been together and didn't come off. Just do that thing that you think it's impossible. The results that will come out of it will be something that will just change your life. And I believe that people like Bill Gates, people like Elon Musk, people like Mark Zuckerberg, they never believed, they didn't know that Facebook was going to turn out the way it did.
Oh yeah.
They just went ahead to do it, and then it happened for them. Yeah, all right. I want to find out from you, sir. What is that one belief that you had to unearth growing up for you to be able to grow faster and succeed more deeply?
Oh, I can tell you straight that I'm not helpless. I can tell you, I have never come to the point on when I realized that I'm not alone and that I'm not helpless. That feeling of helplessness has left me. The moment you feel helpless and you feel like you're alone on the journey, you are incapacitated. You are deficient. You become disabled in that instant. This conversation we're having, they are simple, but they're not simplistic. Right? We're not trying to be high-sounding in this conversation. We're just being eloquent and passing information. But much more is that there's something happening to our minds and you, the audience, listening to us right now. You see, we must realize that we are not helpless. Nobody on earth is without help. You have not just figured out where the help is to be tattooed in our mind or what exactly that help. And sometimes our mind has defined how the help should be. We have said that, it's like somebody that is stranded and broke. And they walk up to somebody. When you're stranded and broke, you're not looking for somebody who has an idea. Your immediate mind is telling you, go look for somebody that has the money, that will give you the money. But the truth is, if that person gives you the money, he just solved a temporal need, not a permanent wait. So what you need is somebody who will literally, help you fish. Who will show you where the waters are deeper, so that you can do business there, so that you can transact there, so that you can broker partnerships and alliances that can transform your life permanently. Because once you've entered into that leverage of relationship, everything changes. But immediately we think that if you can just give me this amount, I'm fine. That's not it. So we need to even redefine what help is to us at different times. I am not helpless. That mindset has led me so far. I do not know exactly how to go further, but I'm not helpless. Is it I look unto God, or I find the people around me that He has sent to be the answer in that instance? But never will I come to the point where I feel like everybody has left you, everything is working against you. You will never catch that kind of conversation. It will not even register in my thoughts, not think about uttering it. It's not like I'm breaking it up. It has been dead, debunked, demystified, scattered, and it's not existing. So I am at that place where I am not helpless. Once you realize that, you begin to see opportunities around you. You begin to see that things abound towards you. And then because you see opportunities, you can grab it, right? Kind of help.
Did you know that this reminds me of the conversation I think I shared this with you some time ago. I was having a conversation with one of my mentors and coach, Peter Sage.
Oh yeah.
And there was a program training I was, asking him about, how I can get access Ejebo program and that. How he said to me was that, Osas, the way he pronounced my name, said Osas. He said that thinking that makes you think, that mindset that makes you think that it is what you do not have that is stopping you from doing the things that you should do is actually the mindset you need to already. So relating it to what you just said, knowing that you are not helpless. It is not because the government have not done this for you, that's why you can't make progress. It is a mindset that we must work again. And knowing that you've been able to overcome that, it's something that I really would want you to see true light on. How did you get to that point where you were able to overcome this mindset?
Vis-a-vis my background, and I've shared this with you, I've shared it in different fora. My dad left when I was 3 months old. So, but my dad leaving when I was 3 months away, that's about helplessness as a baby, quote unquote. I was left in the care of my mother. And so I grew up near my mother, connecting with my mother. And it was only by default that I could just feel that men are funny, I know people should not be trusted there. There were different things that could have happened to even affect my own future marriage as at that time. And I just told myself, if I keep lamenting over my parents, the divorce, the fact that their marriage did not work, and I say using that as a label for my identity, then I will also transmit that to the generations around me, whether they are biological, adopted, spiritual, or just by connections. And I told myself, this needs to stop. I was at that point where my father never patronized or he never paid my school fees. Never. Wealthy, doing well, but never sent a dime to shore. Never. My mom was forced to raise me on Bahas, and she sent me to some of the most fantastic schools. It was a tough call. In fact, let me share it. At that time, my mom's salary was 3,000 naira. Well, he calls us 600 naira.
That's equivalent to like 300,000 naira.
No, that was early 90s, and it was 10,000. And the school I was going to was no, my mom's salary was 3,600. The school I was going to, our school fees was 30,000. And me and my sister.
So 1 month salary.
So, but actually, it's 2 months because if 3,006, 36, that's an average of about 3,000 in 3 months, right? And my mom had to feed 6,000 out of that money for tuition at that time. That tells you the kind of school you had to have. That means we are left with only 1 month salary average to feed for 3 months. So things were a tough call. So you see, I'm sharing that story to tell you how helpless I felt. Someone is listening to us today, watching this video wherever on any platform that you're watching it, and you keep trying to help me find the excuses to tell yourself that if not for my father, if not for my mother, if not that I'm in Nigeria, hey, wake up! How long do you keep blaming someone else and blaming the outcomes? You've got the power to change the narrative. When you realize that you are not helpless, you're probably not looking at the right way, and you're not seeing well. That's why coaching helps people to see differently, to mirror the kind of destination they want, to cut them a check for speed, and to redefine their paradigms and their perspectives. That's very important. You need to sit down and have a conference with yourself first. In how long will you keep blaming others? How long will you keep saying, I don't have help? If only Coach Osas could just help me. If only he could just give me his program for free. It's not that way. It's not done that way. The quality of thought that goes into this program right now, my God, you could have all felt helpless to run this program right now, but you did not. You have every reason as well, but here you are doing this. And I know that we have hit an iceberg when it comes to these conversations. Oh God, people need that mindset to be different. You are not God bless. You're not just saying the wage.
You see, I made a post a few days ago, I think sometimes about last week or 2 weeks ago, about the fact that until you come to the point where you have that self-conference, like you said, you really cannot make progress at all. And I went to the fact, I actually went biblical. I looked at the woman with the issue of blood.
Yeah, I remember that post.
I discovered that he said to herself that if I touch the hem of his garment, so she already had concluded what was going to happen with herself. Now the prodigal son that we all talk about, the Bible also recorded that when he came to himself, so it means that there is always that point where we all must come to ourselves and realize that, this thing is happening to me. Why? And it is at that point that we start really making significant progress. And what you have said resonates so deeply. Now, as we begin to draw this episode to a close, I want to ask, now, if your children and mentees like us were to inherit only your mindset, not your money, not your cars, not your assets, not your investment, what would you want us to inherit going forward?
Oh, that's another question I love, because last year I started thinking deeply, not just of my family, my personal, my immediate family values, but I began to think deeply of what I want my kids to really have and those around me to have. And I'll share 2 scenarios and I'll explain it deeper. The one of the values that I've come to terms with is that I am learning to put family first. You see, many of us come from divergent and polarized extended families. Every man for himself, God for us all. But I discovered that the more the world gets bigger, global, we need smaller communities to be part of. And whether that family is biological or it's on a shared value system, you must learn to put family first. That's one of the things I've been telling my kids of recent times. Family first. Second scenario is that my brother-in-law just got through and they came to see me a few days ago. And I told them, him and his wife, I said, no. I told them, welcome to the family. You guys must know that your first point of call when we're in trouble is us. Well, we may not have all the things you need, but we have something. And it doesn't have to be money, it can be presence. You must find a family to affiliate with, and you must do it consciously. if there's something I'm handing over, beyond the fact that truth, transparency, the legacy of faith, I want people to be clustered in communities where they are emotionally safe, where they have psychological safety. The more the world is fixated on content development, content marketing, people are gradually losing the lines of ethics of what to share, what not to share. Confidentiality has now become something that is thrown as into the wind. People share and divulge people's secrets with ease, and people celebrate them. You don't give that to your family. Wow. If you really have a family, regardless of the fight you guys have, you won't do that. And just to wrap that thought, why I'm saying family first, I watched the movie recently, The Conclave. Fantastic movie, if you've not seen. It's about the politics that happens behind the selection of a pope. I know we just have a pope here, right? And the whole dynamics that happens behind the scene. They fight behind on that chapel, they argue, they don't agree with the votes, but the outside world never sees what happened inside the war. Never. They may not all agree, unlike the person that was eventually selected and elected as a pope, but they all line up and say this is our pope. Nobody comes off and say that you lose pope, we have developed our own pope. They are united. That's why the Catholic institution, the Roman Catholic Church, is still the most formidable institution on earth. Governments have come and gone, they can't fight. It's a solid institution because they have built a niche around our community. They have learned that our differences are there, but to the outside world, we don't show it. Family first. That's what I want to ensure. That's what I do for people around me. I let them know that you are my top priority. And in not, case in point, this podcast, they almost did not come, right? For this. But because you're my family, SARS, I would not want you stranded. Regardless, worst case scenario, I may not show up on time. Worst case scenario, I may not do it accurately, but I will ensure that it's right. Represent is the family first, is the legacy.
Come on. I'm getting emotional. I really think that we need more of this conversation as often as possible, because we are getting to a point where people just watch anything, read anything, and they go to social media. This is my own thought about social media. Oh, people complain how social media is bad. So the reason why you think social media is bad is because there are more of bad content on social media that you have affiliated with. Yeah. So if we increase more of such conversation on the social media, then we'll begin to have the sanity that we all want on the social media. So that now, because I am addicted to books, so I'm not going to allow you leave this podcast without sharing at least 3 books that have greatly influenced and impacted your life, and you want the audience to know. I know that this is one thing that many people don't talk about. You only come to their inner cycle for you to be able to have that advantage. But I feel that with what we are doing here, we want the people to know that we are not withholding anything back. Most of the books that have influenced my personal life are books that we recommended. I never knew the books to read. I never knew what books were until someone said, "Come, Osas, take this book, no and read." And that is what has eventually brought me to a point where I am called the Mind Master. It's because of that. So I want to also ask you, please just share with us, maybe in the area of finance, in the area of personal development, the area of leadership, randomly, not fixated on any specifics.
So the books that have changed my life are not very common. In fact, the first book is Discovering Yourself. I can't remember the author, but I read that book. I was in the bus from Benin to Jos many years ago. I think it was 2009-ish, thereabout. And I read that book, just a small book. But it's a book that was full. Now I know it was a coaching book. I didn't know. I don't even think the author classified it as a coaching book. But you read 2 nights, you will see plenty of questions. So I spent that 12-hour journey plus just reading that book. Just a small book. And I was trying to answer the questions. Deep, detailed questions. I was there, just fixated. But that book shaped me because it helps me to connect with the build. It helped me to see my strengths. It helped me to align properly that you're not a misfit. You've got something to perfect the world. So that started my identity reformation completely. The second book I read was in the seminar, and that book is tied to the book that transforms nations. Lauren Cunningham, who wrote that book. Very old book. I'm not so sure that it's very common, but it's an old book, and it just talks about history of how the Bible was able to change individuals and to change nations. And the argument and the thesis of that is that if nations must change, not just for the fact that the Bible was the centerpiece, but that people must read and obey the Bible. To be latter. That book was the second. The third book that will define my professional pursuit is called The Art of Work by Jeff Goins. Very, very interesting book. Jeff Goins did an amazing. I don't even think that Jeff Goins has been celebrated for that book now, right? I've read many of that books, The Alchemist, all of those books, fantastic gifts. Yeah. But you see, those books, they were pivotal. Maybe they came at the point where I was transitioning, so that's why it made more sense for me again. So I was transitioning at each of those phases. I read those books, and it just seemed to answer the question of that season. So Art of Work was to show you how your work matters to the world, how you can stand out regardless of the field you have chosen, and how little things we simply ignore can actually become the things that will make us or drive us into prominence. Okay? And it was just advocating for you to cherish that simple gift. Cherish that work. Don't be driven by fame, calamity, but just ensure that you are staying committed, consistent, and devoted to that simple thing you have. The world will come to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, everything that has a beginning always has an end. You know, I know you as a coach, and I know companies that you consult for. I know individuals that it just now that you are gradually doing more of international coaching than the Nigerian local coaching. But still, people will want to know, people want to connect with you, people want to know what are the things that you have there, what resources do you have that they can actually leverage on, and how can they connect with you, and how can they have access to your materials to you. And for those who want one-on-one conversation, from you, you also want to know. And one thing I want to say before you call to that is that I think it is with you, I have come to understand that yes, you are an ordained pastor of the church, but only very few people know that is who you are, because you have defined your professionalism as one who is more interested in the growth of businesses and individuals than just wearing the counter bodies. So please, I was praying for a government agency recently in Abuja, and so the woman saw this bottle. I saw Reverend scripted on this bottle. Okay. And so she walked up to me and said on the second day of the training that she's looked at my bottle that it has Reverend. So you're a Reverend, like you're not doing with this. I said yes. She said, I've never heard you say praise the Lord. Did this stress? I was humor to the latter. I was like, really, were you expecting me to say praise the Lord? Or to share something from the Bible? Hallelujah, that kind of stuff. I said, no, I know professional languages, where to strike the balance. She was like, she can't understand how I'm able to strike that balance. Like, don't I by mistake just imagine I see the crowd with the training and just say, this looks like a church, and let me just release the anointing on them, that kind of stuff. So I have clearly defined that. And the truth is this, my identity is crystallized in the fact that I realize that I'm a Christian who does business, not a businessman who is a Christian. It sounds similar. It's not semantics. It's different. That I'm not prioritized. So it is the fact that I am a Christian. That outflow, it outflows out. It expresses as a parent. It expresses as a friend. It expresses as a businessman. It expresses because there is a accumulation of values that I've aggregated. It now finds expression from my training, my coaching, in my lifestyle, in the things that I do, with my relationships. That's what happened. So I did business. And so in that instant, I have the 7 laws of transformation coaching program, which is a signature program for masterminds, for visionaries, for leaders, for coaches, for creators. And you've been part of it. You need that program. I was coming to that. Right? So that is the main program that I offer to people. When people need one-on-one, it's easy. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Facebook of Jeochim. That's where you can find it. I'm just on those 2 platforms. I've simplified my life. I don't like to be on multiple platforms, but LinkedIn at least. So probably you're watching this in 50 years time. And I hope LinkedIn and Facebook is still existing by that time. You will catch me there. If there's a new one, I'll tell you. We'll add an addendum to this video to tell you. That's it basically. Wow. I think we've had a nice time communicating with you. This conversation will go beyond what we thought, yes, and having to share personal experiences, being vulnerable to the audience, letting people know that this is the path. So for anyone who truly desires success in their faith, in their family life, finances, fitness, and in friendship, they need to understand that these things they are possible, but there are mindsets that consult those areas of successes are our lives. And that is what we have dwelt on. And I really want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your sacrifice. I know how it took you. Last time we were trying to put this together, you were traveling, I was traveling, and to be able to quickly hit it. So, pulling you out of your busy schedule, know how tight it can be for us. We do not take this for granted. I want to say thank you so much. So, we deeply appreciate you.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Glad to be here. You should connect to Coach Osas. This is not a kind of end of endorsement. This is the truth. You guys need to connect. So if you don't like this video, share it. I'm coming for you. Look at me. Fuska the Fusa. All of you. I'm coming. I'm threatening you, right? Blood the Godfather announced.
All right. So for those you've watched the video, feel free to share, feel free to like, feel free to drop your comment and see benefits. If there's anything said that you really do not understand and you want more explanation, feel free. Just drop your comment on the video. And there are several things that you'll get to know. Just check the description below. Links will be there for you to connect with us and have access to other things that we do. Thank you once again. And thank you for your time and for watching this video. Cheers. God bless you. I still remain Osas-Daniel, the Mind Master. Cheers.